Hugo Strange's handiwork continues to cause trouble for the Bat family in Detective Comics 941. Let's take a look. What's up everybody, I'm Stan and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. In this iRate review, I'm going to be talking about Detective Comics 941. So Detective Comics 941 is a continuation of the crossover Night of the Monster Men Part 3. So the previous two issues in Batman and Nightwing, this is the third installment, and this is where we see stuff really start to hit the fan. The nice thing about this is that even though each individual book, Batman was written by Tom King, Tim Seeley's writing Nightwing, and James Tynion IV, he's doing Detective Comics. There's still a little bit of the voice left, but it's really kind of overshadowed by Steve Orlando doing the general storytelling, since he's kind of helming us through this overall crossover event. But there are some very key points of each author's kind of voice that shine through in the books. In this particular book, we see a tremendous focus on the overall Bat family, which is one of the strong points of James Tynion's Detective Comics so far. And the nice thing is that you've got some pretty Batwoman-heavy stuff. Batman only appears in a half a dozen panels, barely a handful. And then there's development for the characters of Spoiler, there's a little bit for Orphan, and ultimately the involvement of other people in this whole Bat family scenario. The big thing is that when we're talking about the story is still really heavily focused on what an overwhelming task they have regarding these monsters and how unprepared they are to deal with anything remotely like this. It's definitely something outside the main scope of what the Bat family is capable of. And now they have to contest with a few different things, because in the last page, what we see is that, some of these players on this team, particularly Nightwing and Gotham Girl, they might have run amok of something pretty foul. Overall, the story's taken us in a great direction, and considering where we're at, I could be a little bit better off with this. The story isn't quite what I was expecting, but it's competent and it's going to keep me reading simply because the books themselves are very strong on their own. As for the art's been pretty much standout in these books simply because there's no degradation. There's no real loss in quality because of the crossover, which is ultimately what you're looking for. There's great renditions of both Batwoman, Batman, and then especially Nightwing and Gotham Girl towards the end. When they start fleshing out these monster-type characters, they definitely look a little bit better and they provide a very imposing landscape on the Gotham skyline. I'm a really big fan of the books in general. The crossover, it's middle of the road, but I can't wait to see how it ends because we haven't even engaged with Hugo Strange. I really want to see these newer, more humanoid-style monsters from Nightwing and Gotham Girl to really kind of put the Bat family to the test. I want to see them grouped up a little bit more. This whole separation it's kind of lackluster. It doesn't really do anything for me in the story, and the fact that they're not engaging with somebody on a higher level, again, it's a complaint that I had from the previous two books, and that I'm going to continue to carry through now. I want to see, kind of a mastermind, puppetry kind of aspect really emerge in this, and I hope that's where they're going. So overall, they're a pretty good read, and I'd recommend going to get them if you find yourself curious about the event. So that's my review on Detective Comics 941, Night of the Monster Men Part 3. But I want to know what you guys are thinking of this whole crossover, so hit me up in those comments. I'm happy to start that conversation with you guys. As always, if you like what you see, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.